Wiggle, wiggle.
Like.
Blitz with Muffin here. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I have a subscriber request to do a vid on my top 3 favorite tech tree lines for grinding. Now, I'll have to say, I haven't grinded tank lines in probably a couple years. I've really gotten to the point with so much free XP and credits, and really at the point of if I just want it, I just kind of buy it. So this may be a little outdated. I tried going off of tanks that I remember grinding kind of back in the day and having a better experience over some, or some that I've just kind of really, the majority wise, enjoyed playing out of that tech tree line compared to others. So we'll kind of see how this list works. If it's not really what you're expecting, I apologize. So the first up, I would say I wouldn't rank these from, you know, worst to best or anything, or best to worst. But one of them I would have to say is my favorite is the American Heavy line. It's just a good, overall, well-rounded tech line. Just like the jack of all trades, pretty much. I mean, armor, maneuverability, cannon, accuracy, reload. It really has it all. Like, you look at it starting off with the T1 Heavy, good tank. I actually labeled this one as one of, in my opinion, one of the top 5 seal clubbing tanks. It's got great armor. And then the tank right after that is the M6. Kind of similar, but good tank. I mean, you do have those similarities with the T1 and the M6, with some slight differences. And then you have the Tier 7, which I just honestly loved. Kind of introduced me to tanks like the T-34 American, but the T-29, just really solid frontal turret. It's just a monster. If you have this thing positioned correctly, it is a beast. Tier 9, the M103, also, you know, jack of all trades, just good. It's just a good tank, good maneuverability, cannon. I really didn't have a really like big negative experience. I know they've kind of buffed some of these, and the T1 is a lot better than it is now compared to when I grinded it back in the day. And then you have the Tier 10, the T11 OE5, which in my opinion is even better than the Super Conquer that just came out. Just jack of all trades. It's just a good tank. Now back in the day it did have a really big cupola and they got rid of it, but I honestly really like this tank. So in terms of like a good tech line to grind, this one I had a good experience with, and I actually did grind this one all the way through back in the day. The next one up, I didn't really grind this one all the way through. I kind of just like had more of a good experience just playing with them, and a little bit different, more of a light experience. It's the American light tanks, and just missiles aside, just using the standard round is just a lot of fun. Like, it's just fun zipping around the map. You're almost like a light tank KV2. Like, once you look at the tech line, you got the Chaffee and the Bulldog. Bulldog's good, it's just like good maneuverability. And then you got the T49. It's just fun to, you know, wreck and just do so much damage. And then you have the Tier 9, which honestly was much more OP when it first came out, and they have been nerfing it, but still like a good tank, and it's just fun to zip around and just put that high amount of damage in the enemies. And I still think even after the nerfs, like, it's a good tank. Now when talking about these tech lines, I know it's a lot different when you first get a tank and you're only 75% crew trained. I think almost any line, no matter what you're grinding, can be quite miserable. And then you have the Tier 10, the Sheridan. Honestly, good tank. I mean, like I said, missiles aside, don't even really need the missiles. It's just fun with that high alpha gun. Still has good maneuverability. Even after the nerf, I still play it. Still a good tank. So I would say that's another one. And then the last one, I would say, I think I'm just a sucker for the classics. But just the German heavy line where you have, I mean, the VK tier 6 is kind of a wannabe Tiger, but it kind of gives you that feel going into it. And then you have the Tiger 1, and the Tiger 1 is just such an iconic tank. I remember when I was grinding this tech tree line and coming across it, I was like, this is just awesome. I'm in the Tiger 1, and I'm kind of a history buff, so I mean that kind of like really I think added to it. And then next you have the Tiger 2. Now they have buffed this. When I was first grinding it, the Tiger 2 did not have very good armor, but now it's just an excellent tank. I really like the Tiger 2. Very capable, probably one of my favorite heavies, just because it's just such a classic and iconic tank. Tier 9, the E75, just good armor, you know, good just overall. And then that just obviously leads right to the E100, just being a beast and just a classic. And that 640 average damage cannon is just fun. So anyway, this is my favorite tech line list. You know, there are some others like the Soviet heavy line. Also pretty good with going to the IS-4. Like you have the KV2. Now some people really don't like that one, but I enjoyed the Soviet heavy line, especially I remember grinding it back in the day. It was good, just really well armored tanks, and it was fun just being a not as good of a player. It was nice to be able to bounce a decent amount of rounds, and I really felt that way with the Soviet heavy. So anyway, this is just some of my lists, just some of my favorites. I'm trying to think back just, you know, way back in the day. But anyway, this is the Muffin here. Stay cool and keep tanking.